stand by. Please welcome to the ring from Greenford, Richie Edwards.
Richie Edwards must have had a haircut because he normally wears it having a pineapple style on top of his head. Dreadlocks been cut off. Looks very, very determined. Really psyching himself up there.
He probably reckons he can't compete in the hair department with Georgie Smith, so he's gone for something a little more orthodox today, although there's still the bunch at the back.
Well spotted, Gareth, I didn't see that. And you see what we mean about Georgie Smith if you haven't seen him before, because he'll be in next. This seems to be getting a regular contest. Now, a Frank Maloney boy against a Barry Hearn.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the ring from Basildon, Georgie Smith.
And now you know what we're on about. He's going to be the happiest fighter entering a ring anywhere in the world, Georgie Smith.
Yes, he really does look as though there's nowhere in the world that he'd rather be. And that's not always the case with fighters going into the ring.
Smarter!
Well, you heard what he said, it's showtime. And it's his time. Well, let's see if he's right.
As he's never been notably short on confidence, but I've never seen him actually going that far on the way into the ring before.
I think it's a sign of the tension and nerves that he's bound to have. His first title fight, really.
Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans and Sky fans, a very good evening and welcome to the legendary York Hall Bethnal Green for tonight's championship boxing. Proudly presented by Frank Maloney and Panax Promotions. Sponsored here by the Daily Star and live and exclusive here on Sky Sport. You've joined us for the very best ringside seat in the business. All the officials have been appointed by the British Boxing Board of Control here present at ringside with us. Our steward in charge, Mr. John Clifford. Our area representative, Mr. John Ratnich. Chief Inspector Charles Payne. Inspectors Dave Stone, Bob Galloway, Rich Thompson, Dave Wilson, Fred Breyer and Bob Longhurst. Our two doctors here present at ringside with us, Dr. Scott and Dr. Morrison. Here's our first championship for you now. It's 10 3-minute rounds for the Southern Area Light Welterweight Championship. This title is vacant. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing to you, fighting out of the red corner. He's wearing the white trunks trimmed with red. He weighed in at 9 stone and 13 pounds. Brings an 8-fight record, 7 wins, 3 coming by way of knockout, and only 1 defeat. He's from Greenford. Would you please welcome Richie Edwards. And across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He's wearing the white trunks trimmed with gold. He weighed in at 9 stone, 13 and 3/4 pounds. He brings an undefeated record of 11 contests, 11 wins, and 7 coming by way of knockout. He's from the beautiful Essex village of Basildon. Would you please welcome Georgie Smith. Our timekeeper is Mr. Peter McCann. Our referee is star referee Larry O'Connell. This is 10 3-minute rounds of boxing for the vacant Southern Area Light Welterweight Championship.
Good luck to both. Keep your punches on target. Remember to obey my commands at all times. Two in the break, to the break straight away, no messing. Good luck to both. We made the best man win.
Well, the tension here really is, you know, you can cut it with a knife with both of these men up for this fight very much. Now, Georgie Smith, the classic boxer. Edwards, 3 stoppages in his 7 wins, but a fairly aggressive fighter, and he started very strongly. And there we saw the shorts, Georgie Smith in the flashy white shorts with the gold diamonds. Battle of the hairstyles, Gareth.
Yes, it certainly will be bringing in extra viewers, I would have thought, from the hairdressers out there. Spent the first round discussing the hairstyles, but actually both boxers are getting down to business very early on, rather than standing admiring each other's tonsils.
It's a good southpaw left cross from Edwards. Smith unbeaten in 11 fights, 7 stoppages, bit of a natural puncher. Not built very strongly, but very quick hand speed. Edwards caught his right hand in the ropes there. Good left hook from Smith.
Edwards took it well. He was moving away, which no doubt helped. But it's the first one that Smith really got through. He's been leaning rather, trying to get his range, but that was certainly a good shot. And he nods acknowledgement as Edwards lands a good right in reply.
It's a good, close, aggressive start to this fight. Smith doing the majority of the forcing, but Edwards coming back with sharp counters. And again, the left southpaw cross comes over. Well, I think he's rather confident. Alex Gowan in the corner there giving him instructions. Had a year out last year, came back with 2 wins so far this year. In March he beat Peter Nightingale in the first round, and a points verdict of Brian Coleman was here at the York Hall in April.
Edwards, on the other hand, of course, is coming off a defeat in a fight for this very title when he was outpointed by Bernard Paul, who's since gone on and somewhat controversially won the Commonwealth title, therefore relinquishing this area crown.
But he had Paul on the floor.
He did have Paul on the floor. Paul, of course, also had him on the floor.
Well, it seems the punches here is the left cross from Edwards and the left hook from Smith. Good shots from Edwards.
As the first few seconds of this fight, Smith was still doing his whooping and hollering bit. He's very much concentrating on the work in hand here now. He hasn't got any time for the showboating. Edwards is making sure of that.
Edwards getting through some good shots to start the second round. And of course, Bernard Paul is the current Commonwealth champion, and that's not a bad result for Richie Edwards, losing just by four rounds over 12 to Bernard Paul. So he's of obvious quality.
As Paul was a little bit of a step up in class for Edwards compared with the opponents before then.
Oh, a heavy left cross. Smith says it was a slip. I think it was a bit of off balance, but certainly the punch helped it over. And he's not looking quite so quick during the second round.
He's in a bit of trouble here, Georgie Smith. That haircut is being knocked from side to side with regularity.
A good right hook getting through from Edwards, and again Smith fighting back, but he is in a bit of trouble here. Has he done the right thing in fighting back? Maybe he has.
It certainly seems to have deterred Edwards from following up as he perhaps should have done.
Well, Smith done very, very well. Edwards may have punched himself out. That's got to be a 10-9 round for Richie Edwards. Smith cut under the left eye, and there's no joking about now. This is very, very serious. Well, it was a slip, but he was hurt, there's no doubt about it.
He was hurt, and there was certainly a punch that sent him over as well. And there were punches which followed up while he was still somewhat confused and disconcerted. That right there. Not a good round at all for Georgie Smith. It's not the first time he's been over. He was put over in his second fight of his pro career by a lad called Stevie Bolt, and got straight up to stop the man in the second. So he has experience being on the floor before, but it's not something he's used to, and it's not something he likes.
Georgie Smith in the white and gold, Richie Edwards in the red and white. Can Smith regroup, get his boxing back together? Needs to use that long left jab. Nice left counter from Smith. The pace seems to have dropped a little.
It is perhaps surprising that Edwards isn't trying to maintain pressure on Smith. He left him off the hook a little bit in that second round, and it's almost as though the fight has started again in the third. He certainly seems to have great respect for Smith's punching power, and he's not taking any risks.
There's not much happening, but what is happening is coming from Georgie Smith. As you say, Gareth Edwards being surprisingly negative. Going forward, occasionally Edwards with powerful punches. We know he can punch, but at the moment he's just thrown this round away on the referee's scorecard. He's done nothing. Good right cross. This has been the type of round that Georgie Smith needed. Very quiet, trying to regroup, get his senses back, and yet still win the round. Hard to understand why Edwards didn't push forward. Well, here we see some work. Good right hand from Georgie Smith. And that could have been the reason, Gareth, that Edwards didn't do too much in that round.
Indeed, it's certainly going pause for thought.
Fourth round, and this fight really looks to be a cracker in the making. Both of these boys can punch. Both of them have been on the floor during their career.
That's when Edwards fought Bernard Paul for the title last time out. It was a heck of a fight. Nip and tuck, swayed both ways before Paul emerged victorious. This one looks to have the same prospect.
Smith, a very, very good boxer. You see, he's well balanced, long arms, quick, and contains a fair bit of power. He was a good amateur. Reached the ABA final in '91. Losing to Jason Matthews, the Welshman. And I seem to remember then when he entered the Albert Hall, there were thousands of people cheering him on. He's always had a big following.
All from the beautiful Essex village of Basildon, as our MC described it, with a
bit bigger than a village, I would think. But
yes, I'm not sure whether the words beautiful or village are particularly relevant.
And you may have a few arguments there. He won 5 Eastern Counties titles on the trot to Georgie Smith, so he's got a pedigree as an amateur as well as a pro.
But apart from reaching the ABA finals, he got to the semi-final again the following year, lost to Alan Temple from Hartlepool, and Temple went on to beat Richie Edwards in the final that year, so
stopping him in the final.
Indeed.
So there's a fair indication these two have been mixing at the same level of competition for many years. So it all looks forward to it. What we have is a good fight in store. Again, Smith holding the centre of the ring, jabbing and keeping Edwards at long range. There's the jab landing again.
Again, it's one of these psychological things that perhaps subconsciously works on a referee. The man in the centre of the ring appears to be in command, even when he isn't necessarily.
Well, they always said the American judges tended to go for aggression, and it must sway more judges than not. Freddie King working in the corner there. Alex Gower also helping out. And they're looking after that cut, which doesn't seem to be too bad. Stop bleeding. It's below the eye, not in a dangerous position. Here, Gareth, you see the left jab of Georgie Smith, twice landing.
As Edwards is finding it very difficult to get in close enough to repeat that knockdown of the second round.
Fifth round, Georgie Smith in the white and gold, Richie Edwards in the red and white. And I think the reason for him not getting in so close, he's been shaken a couple of times by the power of Georgie Smith.
As he certainly has plenty of respect for Smith. But it's mutual. Smith, there's none of the showboating and the bravado that there was in the ring walk and then in the first minute or so of the fight. It's very much business, concentration, focus.
That's certainly true, and that's what makes this such a good fight. Good right hand from Smith, called in by Edwards. Well, I'll take a bit back, he says.
Referee Larry O'Connell halting the action to move the advert bumper back a little. The photographer's leaning on it, obviously pushed it out underneath the rope into the ring, where of course it can cause a boxer to trip. They're fairly recent additions to the ring decor, these bumpers, and sometimes they do slip into where they're interfering with the action.
Oh, two right hands. Noticeable that Edwards didn't shake his head and say no the second time. Smith seeing an opportunity here.
Typical noisy atmosphere from the York Hall crowd, always one of the best places in Britain to watch fights, with that balcony you can see there, right almost over the ring. It's a tremendous place to be on a full house like tonight.
Oh, they both went for it there. It's been a good round for Georgie Smith.
And the young female element among his supporters making themselves heard.
That was better, and you can clearly see on the cornermen's faces that they really enjoyed that round.
There's a little more satisfaction than from Messrs. King and Gower. After the first and second round, they were not so pleased. And that's one of the reasons that they're happy now. Very good right down the pipe, as they say, from Georgie Smith. Sent Edwards back a couple of paces.
And this was later in the round. Good overhand right, shakes his head, but he comes straight back in, catches him with a better one. And that was a great shot, and again on the move here. Here we see a reverse angle. Oh, some more work again. The right hand catching Edwards.
Smith getting through with almost all those punches. He stepped up the pace in that round and won it very comfortably. And I think Edwards is a worried man at the moment.
We know Georgie Smith is a good puncher. I think we now know Edwards can take a punch.
As we move into the second half of the fight, of course, stamina can become a factor. And another thing that we know about Edwards is that he has already gone 10 rounds in an area title fight. It's new territory if this one goes the whole way for Georgie Smith.
He certainly looks fit to me. And I'm sure he would have trained very, very hard down in the Matchroom stable.
Yes, he's no doubt spent even more time in the gym than in the barbers.
Which is hard to believe. 6 hours that haircut, is that right, Gareth?
6 hours, they tell me, yes.
To look like that.
Indeed, there must be better ways of spending 6 hours. Still, seriously, it does make Georgie Smith distinctive, and in these days when half the battle is being recognised, it won't do his career any harm at all.
Good shots from Edwards back. I was just about to say Smith getting on top now, holding the centre of the ring. Forcing Edwards around the outside, but back came Edwards.
Edwards' successes tend to be fairly sporadic these days. He's not throwing that many punches, and only a proportion of those he's throwing are getting through. Whereas Smith does seem to be the man in control at the moment.
Again dictating the action, Georgie Smith. But that's another problem with the hairstyle, is the fact that when you do get hit, your head seems to be hit and move much harder because of the hair flaying from side to side.
But at least they're both in the same boat as well.
Well,
that's
exactly, yes. Packed house here at the York Hall.
Standing room only by the seam of it. There are plenty of people standing around the back walls. It's definitely one of the most atmospheric venues for boxing on the planet. I would have thought, alongside the legendary Blue Horizon in Philadelphia, this is one of the places to be as far as the small hall boxing, club fights as they'd call them in the States, are concerned.
And for professional boxing, the busiest in Britain.
Amateurs as well, indeed. A lot of the London Amateur Championship about to take place in the York Hall. That little warning about the heads is one of the first occasions we've had to see Larry O'Connell, the referee, actually called into action. It's been a very clean fight so far.
Yeah, it's been a good fight. And noticeable now they've changed positions. Edwards holding the centre.
Yes, I think Isola Akai and his cornerman will have told Edwards that it's slipping away from him. He does need to go out there and dictate for at least a couple of rounds just to reverse the deficit that's built up.
Smith taking a breather here, I think. Edwards caught with the left there, and his legs wobbled. Well, he must have been hurt. He's holding on now to Georgie Smith. Edwards still shaking his head, but Smith's coming on strong.
Yes, he might have been taking a breather in the first half of the round. He's certainly using that saved energy in the second. Very good
right
round.
hand again and left hook. And he can shake his head all he likes. We know it, and Georgie Smith knows that he's been hurt.
Because he won't want to be taking too many more of those rounds.
Now it's Smith's turn. That was a great round, but probably edged by Georgie Smith. Although he himself was caught at the end of that round. And that was the right hand that started it.
That's a good one too. They're driving Edwards back into the corner, and Smith certainly didn't let him off the hook, putting his whole shoulders into that right cross.
Well, Edwards was keen to hold on to, caught with a good right hand, but anytime he could, he was hanging on there. Oh, great right hand, and the left hook to follow.
And referee Larry O'Connell having a look at Edwards there, just to make sure that he wasn't suffering too badly from those.
But they're lazy shots more than tired shots from Georgie Smith.
As he must be wondering, after landing his Sunday punch a few times in the last round, and Edwards stood up throughout it, he must be wondering about whether it is possible to stop this man. And of course that also brings out the apprehension perhaps about having to go 10 rounds for the first time. So I think he may be taking it easy just to make sure that he doesn't punch himself out.
But he's still holding centre, and he's still countering beautifully. Edwards not doing much himself.
I think Smith must be well aware that he is ahead despite that early knockdown against him, and if Edwards doesn't want to make the round too much like hard work, then there's no real incentive for Smith to go out and do so either. If he wants to take it easy, he can afford to. Taking it easy, of course, is a relative term. Neither of these boys have done much have stinted much in their efforts in the 8th round so far.
Well, that left hook is countering the right southpaw lead of Richie Edwards every time from Georgie Smith. And again we see it come over the top as Edwards aims for the body of Smith. of these lads needs to land a couple of punches at the end of this round to maybe sway the referee. Neither did so. Georgie Smith looks confident.
It's whether he won that round or shared it, who knows, but...
There's Julius Francis, the heavyweight fighting for the vacant Commonwealth title next, top of the bill. Just getting his sparring mitts on so he can warm up on the pads. Important to be very, very warm and even sweating when you come into the ring. Looking very, very serious back to this fight. It's a good shot. See both boxers, both looking tired.
Each of them bouncing on balls of their feet before the bell to start the ninth, as if to show the other, I'm not tired at all, really. But clearly both are suffering a little from their exertions in what has been a grueling fight.
It's the left jab and the left hook that's scoring the points for Georgie Smith, but will it be the big right hand that does the damage?
Certainly Smith doesn't seem to be having any problems with Edwards' southpaw stance. In fact, it's the reverse, and Edwards is finding it almost impossible to get past that left.
Edwards finding it very difficult to get through, and he needs to start feinting and triggering the leads of Georgie Smith and then countering himself, because he's falling short, he's leaning in and being picked off with the jab and the left hook from Georgie Smith. He's constantly out of range.
One thing about Smith that always impresses me is his balance. He's a very good mover. Very rarely do you see him looking awkward, and he's just, each time Edwards comes forward, he's just drifting that foot or so back or to the side, and Edwards is finding it very difficult to nail him.
Aggressive stuff now from Smith. And he's not a youngster, Gareth. At 25, really looks very young, but he's not. He's really got to get going in his career now at this rate.
Well, he did lose a year, of course, where he got involved with some well-publicised drug troubles and needed extensive treatment, had something of a nervous breakdown. Now, happily, one hopes clear of that for good, and certainly back in the ring and carrying on his progress towards the top. Certainly his progress towards the Southern Area title tonight.
And that left hook, the last punch of the round, shook Richie Edwards. They're still attending to that nick under the left eye, but it's not going to hamper Georgie Smith in any way. They've done a good job on that.
As they managed to keep the swelling down, it was probably the swelling that might have been more worrying than any actual blood coming from it, because of course swelling in a position like that could make his vision, could impair his vision. But Freddie King, very experienced man in the corner, in his own manner, of course, as they say, in Bethnal Green, and
that's the belt they're fighting for, Gareth.
that it is, and I think they can start inscribing Georgie Smith's name on it. It would take a major shock now, I think, for Edwards to recover this, but then of course he has put him on the floor once, and what he's done once he could do again.
Could do again, you're right. This is the last round, just to remind you. Georgie Smith in the white and gold, Richie Edwards in the red and white. It's been a great fight. What will happen? Who will win this title? Good left, right. Edwards now looking tired, and the right hand gets through again.
A little bit of showboating there from Smith, and I'm sure referee O'Connell had a quiet word with him. It's not the sort of thing that goes down too well in British rings. Like there you could hear O'Connell warning him to cut out the talking.
Good right hands. Smith looking sharp in this last round. And the left hook again. It wobbled him at the end of the last round. He really is a character. Oh, good shots. And the referee stops it. Some people may say that was a little early, but I think the referee must have had Georgie Smith well ahead and thought, what's the point in letting this go on?
Yeah,
some boos.
Edwards wasn't throwing any punches back, even when we had that little interlude when Smith ran into the ropes and waved at the crowd. There was no sign of Edwards actually taking advantage of his inattention and coming back. He was just glad to have a momentary break in the punishment he was taking. And while he did well enough to perhaps have deserved the honour of going the distance, as you say, he was on the receiving end, and he could only have got hurt in a fight he wasn't going to win.
Georgie Smith being congratulated by Bernard Paul, Commonwealth light welterweight champion. Same weight, of course, same stable.
And the last holder of this title, of course.
And the last holder of this title, that's right.
And yes, I think there's no doubt that referee O'Connell, one of the most experienced referees in Britain, was quite right. There's 4 or 5 unanswered head blows gone in. Edwards unable to keep Smith off, and certainly not throwing anything in return.
Yes, I wouldn't have argued. And looking at it from that angle, that was a really great right hand from Smith. There was over 2 minutes left in the round.
And there's no real protest from Richie Edwards.
None at all. Barry Hurton, very, very happy. He's seen this boy come up from his first fight.
1 minute 37 seconds of the 10th and final round. Referee Larry O'Connell has stopped the contest. Your winner and the new Southern Area light welterweight champion from the beautiful village of Basildon, Essex, Georgie Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for a very, very game boxer indeed, Richie Edwards. The presentation of the Southern Area belt is in the very capable hands of the former Southern Area champion and Commonwealth light welterweight champion, Bernard Paul.
Former champion presents the belt to the new champion, Georgie Smith. Boxed very, very well in only his 12th fight, winning the Southern Area light welterweight championship. Main event next is a fight for the vacant heavyweight title of the Commonwealth between Julius Francis and Joseph Chingangu.